Hello and welcome to the second Warhammer Wednesday video. The first one was the review of the Custodes Achilles Contemptor-Dreadnought, and the main focus of this video is which Dreadnought is the best, which one is better. I mean, obviously it depends on the situation, but from a model wise point of view, I would actually have to give it to the Achilles, because they're both exactly the same price. They're both £56. The Galatus, it comes in a blister pack with a very small, probably about that big actually, instruction, I say booklet. It's literally about 2 pages or so, and that's pretty much it for your £56. It's still a lovely looking Dreadnought, and you can put it in so many poses. You know, you can rotate the joints, but it only really has a couple of hands for the two weapons, so whichever way you pose it, it's usually going to have the shield in one hand and the sword in the other. The Achilles, on the other hand, has quite a few different hands, not only holding the dread spear, but actually closed hands too, like he's sort of beckoning the enemy, things like that. So there are plenty of options and things that you can have this model in, but from a model point of view, with the Achilles, and I know boxes are boxes, but you do get this nice cardboard box. I don't know whether you could use it for anything, but there you go. But you also get this modular tray, which is excellent. You get it checked by someone, and you get a really nice instruction booklet here, full CAD, just like the Leviathan one. You know, shows you all the steps, all the parts, and so on. So, and I just feel that all of those things, the check, the boxes, and the instruction book, really cement my, I say bias, really cement my opinion on why you should go for the Achilles over the Galactus. If you could only pick one, I mean, I think they're both great. I don't think Games Workshop are going to create any more Custodian sort of specific models. I think that's it now. Testament to that is they're releasing the Talons of the Emperor box set at the weekend. I've got a sneaky suspicion that the rules in there are going to be exactly the same as the free rules that are already on the Games Workshop's website, but I'm going to compare and contrast those. There might be a couple more formations, but one of the reasons is they're just bundling that very awful Contemptor Dreadnought, the plastic one, in with the set, and obviously they're getting rid of Land Raider and Rhino stock that they've had from, I think it's like 1997 or something like that. It's crazy how old the Rhino and the Land Raider models are now. But needless to say, these definitely suit the Custodian aesthetics much more than the normal Contemptor Dreadnought or the Land Raiders. I think you've seen such a progression of where we've come from in the past sort of 20 years or so now, when you get sort of Dreadnoughts that look like this, and the plastic Custodian Guard models, and you compare them to the old Land Raider and the Rhino models. You know, I just think that these two definitely suit the aesthetics of Custodians way more than just a Contemptor that's sprayed gold. So there you go, that's just from a model point of view. I much prefer the Achilles pattern. From a rules point of view, it's a bit of an odd one, because they're both in different. Now the Achilles on the right is actually an elite's choice, and the Galatus on the left is a heavy support choice. Now you're thinking, oh yeah, okay, super, but heavy support choices that always full, it's hard to maneuver. Well, actually, in the Talons of the Emperor army list in the Inferno book, there are 4 heavy support choices and 4 elite choices. Now before I continue, I must say that you can't take these in Talons. It's one model, one unit, and that takes up that slot. So for your Galactus, that will be competing against Galactus Grav Tank, which is a very potent weapon. It's got the same armour, same hull points. It's got either the Iliastus accelerator cannon, which is incredible range, with the heliothermic detonation rules, or it has the Arachnus heavy blaze cannon. So that's a great contender, considering that one of those is, let's just say it's 195 points. So already that's 55 points less, and it has a flare shield. Obviously this has got the refractor field, and it's got the Custodian shield, of course, but still it's less points for a Galactus, which has much greater range, of course. The other heavy support choice, though, if you're going for a full sort of Custodian army, would be a Sagittarum Guard Squad, which consists of 3, and again it's cheaper, it's 185 points, but it's only got 3, and in total that's 6 wounds, but still, they're a good contender too in the heavy support choice. If you go for the Sisters route, you can get a Sisters of Silence Seeker Cadre, but they simply all have flamers. It will be competing against a Galactus or a Sagittarum squad, but of course with a Sagittarum squad you can have 10 and it still count as one unit. So I just thought I'd mention that and what it's up against. The Achilles in the elite section, in my mind, is probably up against the better of the two unit types, in terms of it's up against the elite of the elite, the inner circle, the Emperor's closest protectors, the Heteron Guard Squad, which again you can have 10 in one unit, and they've all got 3 wounds each. They are the elite of the Custodians. So you're going up against them. You're also going up against the Aquilon Terminator Squad. I haven't seen any Custodian Terminator armour. I'm wondering if it's just Cataphractii armour that is slightly changed or modded, or maybe there's an upgrade set for the Cataphractii, but maybe it's complete new set of armour. I haven't seen any pictures though, so you're going up against that. But again, you can have 10 Terminators in one squad for the Aquilon. Then Sisters of Silence, of course, you're going up against the Oblivion Knight Cadre, where there's 5 of them, and they all have their execution blades. So I think it's more of a competition there. My opinion is that the elite section is slightly more competitive than the heavy support choice. I mean, Sagittarium and the Galactus are both excellent choices, but we'll see what the Terminators and the Heteron Guard look like when they come out. But either way, I like that they're both different unit types. The Galactus is a straight up 250 points, the same as a Land Raider. No upgrades needed, comes with everything. The large sword with the incinerator in there and the Custodian shield. The Achilles though, you will have to buy the Corvée Laspulsar, which is a bit odd because the model doesn't come with just the Dread Spear, you know, without the Corvée Laspulsar. It comes with it, and personally I think that should be included in the points. I think it should have been a base of 240. But there you go. I mean, it gives you the option of just having the Achilles without the Dread Spear, because you can have him just with the close combat weapons. So yes, you could just buy yourself a normal Contemptor for £2 less and have him just equipped with the close combat weapons. But of course then you're missing out on the unique sort of wrist mounted weapons, which are the Lastrum Stormbolters, so which I don't think you would get away with a normal Contemptor, saying that they are, because they are quite unique. But either way, this Corvée Laspulsar isn't something to be overlooked. It's not just a close combat weapon, it's a ranged weapon of 36 inches. It's strength 9, AP 2, heavy D3. So it's a good potential at 36 inches of having 3 shots, basically 3 las cannon shots from this thing at 36 inches. So it's very understated as a weapon. Your opponent will probably look at it and go, oh, it's just a spear or whatever, it's melee, you know, especially if you put it in a pose like that. But in reality, he's probably hunching it over his shoulder to get an accurate shot at a tank. And then we go down the attacks route. Now the Galactus has the same number of attacks, but it's got its Galactus Warblade, which times his strength by 2, and I would read that as strength 8 times 2. So it's a strength 16 compared to the Dread Spear, which is strength 10, but on 6s to hit, it then becomes Destroyer. So same number of attacks for both, but the Achilles is only relying on that 5+ invulnerable from the Refractor Shield, where of course the Galatus, and the fact that front arc or in assault, he can re-roll the invulnerable saves, which is great. If you're facing him at, you know, a tank or whatever, and he fails his invulnerable save, he can re-roll it. He will eventually get there, and the Presidium Shield is excellent. And then you've got to couple that with his Warblade, which of course is the, you know, it'd be strength 16, I would have thought, with the Shred and Rampage. So he can be very, very effective in assault with his 5 attacks on the charge. So can the Achilles. The Achilles, though, has that option of having it as Destroyer, but he doesn't have Shred. So both very competent in assault, but of course the Galactus just wins it in terms of durability with that shield. The ability to re-roll your invulnerable saves is just incredible, whereas the Achilles obviously has to resort to his 5+ invulnerable. So there's a bit of a compromise between the two units. You've got something that's a 36-inch range 3-shot las cannon, but he's not going to be able to take much damage at all against something that can take a lot of damage but has no real range weaponry at all, and is mainly suited to close combat, but makes up with his armor and survivability. Although this has no meaningful sort of range component, his durability is higher, and on the offset, the Achilles, his durability is lower, but he has that ability to take out armoured targets from 36 inches. So your primary goal is really, one, don't let these get close to you at all, because that is where they do excel at. And in the case of the Achilles, make sure you're shooting at it from more than 36 inches away, really, if you can. The same with the Galatus. You want to be shooting these guys you want to be keeping your distance, because if they get in close with their 4 or 5 attacks with either Destroyer or with strength 16, then they are going to cause some real damage. And used combined and used effectively, like so, they are going to be a real headache for your opponent. I just wish there was a nice deployment method for them. I suppose one could put them in a Mastodon, because you can put a Contemptor-Dreadnoughts in there, and you could easily put them in a Stormbird. But whether you want to invest in a Custodian Guard only Stormbird is completely up to you. Anyway, I hope this has been useful. From a price point, I'd go for the Achilles. From a rules point, it depends on whether you want a bit of range, anti-tank range, and if you're lacking that, and if you've just got your Custodian Guard, you're going to have no sort of high damage, lengthy weapons, and this is the thing. For a good balance would be an Achilles with a Caladius tank for your long range anti-tank, because Custodian Guards, they've got good durability, and on the whole they've got good weaponry, but sometimes they'll be lacking in sort of long range weaponry. However, the Galactus is a great sort of counter-attack unit if your Custodian Guard do get bogged down or tar pitted. It's great for him to just come along and bulldoze some units out of the way, especially the heavier units. And I'd see no issues in putting both of these up against normal Contemptors. But you just got to be really careful of Leviathans against these two. You know, they've only got the 3 hull points. The Presidium Shield might protect them a little bit, but those Leviathans with Armour Bane and Flesh Bane and things, just, yeah, but they are Contemptor-Killers, really, Leviathans. Anyway, I hope that's been useful. Bit of a long video, but hopefully I've given you some points to think about and which one to go for. I personally prefer the Achilles for obviously all the reasons I stated, and I'd be happy to forego a better re-rolling and vulnerable save for some long range weaponry and the chance of a destroyer hit too. Thanks ever so much for joining me today. Thank you for watching. The Emperor protects.